Hi, everybody. Tyler Trumbauer with Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection as we are getting set for another episode of our National Fire Prevention Week video podcast series as we have a new episode each and every week for you. If you've missed any of them so far, be sure to check out our YouTube channel to see any of those, as we'll have a new episode each and every day, Monday through Friday, to help celebrate National Fire Prevention Week, as each day we have new guests to talk about their roles in the fire and life safety sector and how they work in their careers to help promote fire and life safety here in the greater Lehigh Valley area. And we have two guests today that I'm excited to speak with. From the Bethlehem Police Department, we have Officer Doug Nothstein and his K-9 Silver joining us here on the podcast today. Doug, appreciate the time, and Silver as well. Thank you for joining us today for a few minutes.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, and obviously what you guys do so unique, and something that is so great to have here in the Lehigh Valley area. The work that you and Silver do, and kind of how that's blossomed and grown over the years. Something that you and Kistler O'Brien have worked together in the past in different community outreach efforts. But for those that may not know about you, know about Silver and kind of what your roles are within the department, if you could kind of fill us in and give us a little background on that.
Sure. So Silver is an accelerant detection dog. So Silver will aid fire investigators at fire scenes to determine if there's any accelerants inside of a fire and where to collect samples from to help prove that. So Silver is actually the second Lehigh Valley arson dog. The first one retired and we replaced them. The first one was over in Allentown.
Gotcha. Is there traditionally only a small amount in the greater Lehigh Valley area, or is that just how it happened to go?
Actually, it's a very uncommon dog to be found in general. There's 9 of us in the entire state of Pennsylvania. It's a very limited resource at this time. There's not too many companies or people that have an arson detection dog. It's starting to pick up more, but at one point, the first Lehigh Valley arson dog was only one of 2 arson dogs in the state of Pennsylvania at one time.
So you and Silver have worked together for a few years now, kind of built up that rapport together. What has the addition of Silver to the team meant for you, the department, and kind of the safety of the Lehigh Valley overall?
So what it means to me is, I get to work with a partner every day. We build that bond and we continue to grow every day together. For the department, we have a very good tool here to use. It helps us with our fire scenes and stuff and be able to get them done in a more timely manner and help rule out the possibility of an accelerant being used in a fire. And even with the Lehigh Valley, even with the city, it allows us to use her as a public relations tool to go out and educate people about fire safety and stuff and interact with more people, because she is a Labrador Retriever. She's friendly, so we can interact more where your typical police dog is not as friendly. And when it comes to the whole Lehigh Valley, that's the nice part about the whole thing, is the city's agreed to help the entire Lehigh Valley. We go wherever we're needed. We've actually been in 9 different counties already to aid fire investigators with search and fire scenes to help them determine if there's an accelerant inside the building.
Great. And kind of how does that partnership work with you, the other departments around the Tri-County area and even beyond, going into nearly double-digit amount of counties? Kind of what's that workflow from when there is a fire to where there's going to be an ensuing investigation, and then kind of recruiting you and Silver, bringing you two into the fold?
So what happens there is a fire investigator will contact us and request our assistance, because during their investigation or their information that they've gathered so far, they feel that they need us to come in to assist with trying to find that, be it on a high dollar loss building, a fatality. A lot of times we're called in on those right away, because it's just one of those things we want to make sure and check, because we help combat the crime of arson and insurance fraud when it comes to that stuff. So they'll contact me, and then they'll request, and then I'll go through my requests through my department to get permission to go and assist them. And most times not, I'm allowed to go out and assist them. Sometimes things will have to wait a little bit until we're available, because we're busy with other things, but then we're allowed to go out and assist them.
And you've kind of talked about the community relations and outreach portion of what Silver's meant to the addition to the department and kind of the outreach across the greater Lehigh Valley area. Do you feel that your department has been able to maybe educate people more because of Silver being there? Because, like you said, more friendly, maybe more approachable by people. Do you feel that not only what she does professionally, being able to help investigations, but in that community outreach department, that she's been able to maybe educate more people because of her being in the department now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we get comments made all the time that Silver's also like a therapy dog. Wherever she shows up, she makes people happy. She's a great dog. She's, like I said, just very friendly. So it's one of those is, yes, I believe it's absolutely helped the department. It shows too that, again, we're not out here in our capacity as police to, be negative or anything like that, and show that we are trying to be helpful to everybody. And with having her, it's helped break that stigmatism of all canines are, going to bite or be bad or anything like that. And it's helped us educate people and show them that we're out here doing a variety of different tasks for the city and for the citizens of Bethlehem and the surrounding areas.
Certainly. And so now kind of maybe branching out a little bit from the Bethlehem Police Department and kind of maybe going into a little bit more of what you do when you're not in that role. I feel like you're still heavily involved in fire prevention, life safety, fire safety education. From what I know, you volunteer as a Lehighton Fire Department firefighter, work with the Burn Prevention Network as well in their FYI program. Kind of fill us in on what you do when maybe you're not on duty per se with the Bethlehem Police Department, but still heavily involved in other life safety activities.
So you're correct. I do run currently with Lehighton Fire Department as a firefighter. I've been here running with them for 23 years. I've gone all the way from firefighter all the way up to captain. I've actually even become I become a fire instructor, and I'm actually a suppression instructor. And I teach for Bucks Community College. So I go out there and I'm not only, doing it here in the community now, I'm passing along my knowledge and everything that I have back to everybody else. And involvement with the Burn Prevention Network, the Fire Youth Intervention Team, what we do is we try and get together and we help determine juveniles that are having issues and stuff because of setting fires and stuff. And we try to get them help. And we try to determine what the problem is, because a lot of times it comes down to behind the scenes issues that are going on in the family or at school or something like that. And that's their way of reaching out and asking for help in a sense. So we try and get that to them and get that taken care of so we can fix that before it becomes an issue. I believe it's over a 90% rate that juveniles don't reoccur through the program because of being able to get them the appropriate help that they need.
Great. And we actually have Dan Dillard and Madeline Furdock from the Burn Prevention Network on our podcast series this week as well. So glad to kind of stem over into this episode as well, talking about the great work that they do. And obviously you're a part of that as well. So getting back more to the work side of things with you and Silver, knowing that you're out there investigating these fires when requested to do so, not just in Bethlehem, but around the area. What are some of the most common reasons for fires that you and Silver experience that folks can help prevent? Things that you're there, you see, and it otherwise could have most likely been preventable.
A lot of times, actually, what it's two things I can think of right off the top of my head that it comes back to is sometimes misuse of heating appliances and overuse of electrical outlets. People running extension cords off of extension cords that are plugged into an outlet, having the power strips and stuff and plugging too much into the power strips. Those are sometimes a lot of the problems. And also the cause of, since we're getting into the colder weather, the heating, using space heaters, using them inappropriately. Again, a lot of people don't have outlets right where they want to put the space heater, so they will run an extension cord. But unfortunately, the energy that those appliances are actually pulling is overworking that circuit as well. And it can cause like an electrical heater like that to malfunction, or kerosene heater, people putting in the wrong fuels or something, or putting them too close to combustible materials. So it's things like that that are the two of the common things that I could really say off the top of my head that come to light of what we end up finding out are the causes of fires that I think people can help cut down on.
Certainly, and better education can hopefully prevent those moving forward. Now, I've kind of touched on this topic with every guest so far on the podcast, and that's COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic, and kind of how that has impacted what they do in the fire and life safety industry. How has that affected the volume of fire calls? Or is there more because maybe folks are home more? Is there less because there's less large gatherings going on and maybe parties? What have you seen as a individual on the front lines as far as volume of calls since really the pandemic came in February and March?
I would say that actually fire calls overall probably dropped a little bit because people were home more, so they could actually find things. Like if something was going wrong, it would be found quicker. So earlier detection of them were taking place. Whereas a lot of time, as it went on, people were starting to go out more and venture out. So I think you started to see that pick up then down the road. But overall, it did slow down a little bit for us, but we actually go in spurts. It seems to be that we're utilized like for a week or two pretty heavily, and then we may go for 2-3 weeks where we're not called out at all. So it does vary for us. But I would say overall, it did cut down a little bit of it. And I think that's because people were home more.
Mm-hmm. And do you see those peaks and valleys in your busy seasons, if you will, in those little peaks and valleys? Is that maybe around certain holidays? We just finished up the summer months where we have Memorial Day and Independence Day and Labor Day, where there's traditionally more firework usage. Is that something you kind of see a correlation between those two?
We don't necessarily see a correlation in that at all. Ours just literally just happened to be, we end up getting used 2-3 times within a couple days, and then it's just, we're not utilized. It just seems to happen that way. I don't know why,
right.
But I can't actually pinpoint anything. And honestly, holiday wise, not specific holidays or anything like that have I noticed an increase around.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, we've been talking a little bit about individuals preventing fires in their homes, and that's kind of been an underlying theme of this National Fire Prevention Week campaign with our podcast series and other, tidbits of information. And I know that's something that you and Silver stress when you go out to community events, and hopefully we can get back to that soon enough here when we're allowed to have less social distancing. What normally is your overall advice to people to help prevent fires in their homes? Is it, as you've seen with people being home now, that maybe it's just more awareness of what's around them, what they're doing? What is your normal advice and overall advice to folks to help minimize and help prevent fires in their homes?
Well, there's a wide variety we actually touch base on, and actually starting with small kids, keeping lighters and matches and stuff away from kids, educating the kids not to be touching that type of stuff and everything, all the way up to teaching adults, when you're cooking, make sure you're watching what you're cooking and everything. Don't walk away from it because it only takes a couple seconds for it to get out of control. Proper use of electrical outlets and extension cords and power cords, like I had mentioned before, and also proper use of heating appliances and everything like that.
Yeah, so obviously that is, great advice to give and something that we're trying to impart as well as there's so many different obstacles that could really prevent a fire, and you got to keep mind of all of them and be proactive and not reactive to certain things. And that is something that everyone needs to keep in mind as they survey their house and try to do what they can to prevent a fire from starting in their house. So kind of to sum up, we've done all of this, and obviously this is all to celebrate National Fire Prevention Week, Prevention Month, something that gets a lot of focus this week, but something that you do and we do at Kistler O'Brien is focus on it the other 51 weeks of the year. So what does it mean to you, National Fire Prevention Week, mean to you and mean to K-9 Silver as something that you work in and day out? What does this week, where there's so much focus on it, mean to you two?
Well, Unfortunately, like you said, it's the focus is only for this week. I wish it was a lot more and a lot more frequent because it is something that I think could be a lot more preventive and stuff. But it means a lot in the fact that we can get out there and help educate and make sure that people understand the proper use of things and how to help themselves take care of themselves and their families in order to be safe and trying to prevent fires from the beginning. It means a lot because it's a lot less work than for us. That's a good thing, bad thing, but I mean, it is one of those things is we have the dogs in case we need to use them, but we'd rather not have to use them in the first place.
Right, absolutely. So that's a good message right there, and one that we hope carries on beyond this week and beyond all of the messages that you deliver and we deliver, and everybody kind of takes away from this week of our video podcast series, as we hope that they listen each and every day. So as Silver joins us right here at the end, it's like she knew what was coming as we're trying to outro here. So Officer Doug Nothstein and K-9 Silver, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your insight and wisdom, and obviously thank you both for your service to your department and to the entire Lehigh Valley. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and I thank you very much for the time and consideration to be part of your podcast.
Absolutely. So that's another episode of our Kistler O'Brien National Fire Prevention Week podcast. We will have new episodes each day this week to celebrate National Fire Prevention Week, and we hope that you can tune in. If you miss any of our episodes, you can see it on our YouTube channel. Give us a search, Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, and we will talk to you next time. I'm Tyler Trumbauer. We'll see you then.